Have you ever felt alive, yet empty inside? Breathing every day but feeling like something essential is missing? Have you ever wondered why peace feels so far away, even when life seems full? You can be breathing and still be asleep. That's the quiet paradox of modern life. We are surrounded by noise, yet starving for silence. We are connected to everyone, yet deeply alone. We are busy every hour, yet unsure why we hurry. Millions of people are alive in body but asleep in spirit. They wake, they work, they scroll, they sleep, but rarely live. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we traded awareness for speed. We began existing instead of living, and we started mistaking motion for meaning. Maybe you felt that too, that quiet ache inside, that sense that life is slipping past unnoticed. It's not your fault. Our world rewards doing, not being. It teaches us to chase more, not to pause and notice what already is. But deep down, your soul remembers another way, a slower rhythm, a gentler pace, a life that breathes with you, not against you. That's what today's reflection is about. Welcome, my friend. Welcome back to Son.Mindfulness, a place for stillness, compassion, and spiritual clarity. Here we explore timeless Buddhist wisdom in modern language, not as religion, but as a way to live more deeply. If you find peace here, I invite you to subscribe and join this journey. Together, we'll rediscover what it means to be truly awake. Not someday, but now. Because the truth is simple. Life is short, and while the body sleeps at night, the heart can sleep for decades. So stay with me until the end of this video. We'll explore what it really means to wake up before it's too late. Are you ready to remember what being alive truly feels like? Let's begin. Part 2. The Illusion of Time. We think we have more. You know, one of the greatest illusions we all live under is this quiet, comforting lie. I still have time. We whisper it to ourselves every day. I'll call them later. I'll start meditating when life slows down. I'll take that trip next year when things are more stable. And somehow later becomes the most crowded word in our vocabulary. We live as if tomorrow were guaranteed. As if life had promised us another sunrise, another chance, another conversation. But no one ever signed that contract with us. The truth is, tomorrow is only an assumption. A beautiful one, but still just an assumption. I once met a woman at a hospice center. She was in her 70s, gentle eyes, silver hair. She told me something that I've never forgotten. She said, I spent my whole life preparing for someday. But someday never arrived. She had saved money for trips she never took, saved kind words for people she never called, and saved love for moments that never came. And as she lay there, her only regret wasn't that she was dying. It was that she hadn't really lived. You see, our culture teaches us to delay life, to earn it, plan it, structure it. But life, real life, doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It unfolds now, while you're busy organizing your calendar, while you're checking your phone, while you're promising yourself that one day you'll slow down. It's like a friend knocking softly at your door every morning, and you keep saying, come back tomorrow, I'm not ready. Until one day, the knocking stops. Psychologists call this temporal discounting, our tendency to value the present less than the future. We believe that later will be a better time to act. That later will be wiser, calmer, more prepared. But the paradox is, the more we wait, the less present we become. We build habits of postponement, and what begins as, I'll do it later, quietly becomes, I never did it at all. Think about it. How many laters have already passed you by? The friend you meant to visit, the words you planned to say, the hobby you promised to begin after retirement. They all pile up in a quiet corner of the mind, forming a soft ache called regret. I want you to imagine this. An old man sitting on a park bench, watching children run by. He smiles, but his eyes are far away. He's remembering the letters he never sent, the calls he never made, the sunsets he was too busy to watch. And now, with each breath, he realizes that time didn't run away from him. He was the one running. Running toward the next goal, the next project, the next version of enough. The Buddha once said, "Human life is brief and uncertain. Work diligently, as if your hair were on fire." He wasn't asking us to panic. He was reminding us of urgency. Not the urgency of anxiety, but the urgency of love. To live fully now, because later is a mirage that keeps moving away. If your hair were on fire, you wouldn't wait until next week to put it out. So why do we wait to love, to forgive, to breathe? Sometimes people tell me, but I'm not ready to change yet. And I smile because readiness is another illusion. We become ready by beginning. We don't wait for courage. We grow it, moment by moment, through small acts of awareness. Take one breath, fully aware that you are breathing. In that instant, you've already stepped out of later and into life itself. One of the monks I lived with in Thailand used to say, "The problem isn't that life is short, it's that we keep forgetting it's happening right now." Every time you pause and truly see the steam rising from your tea, the softness of morning light on your hands, the warmth in someone's eyes, time stops being an enemy, it becomes a companion. So perhaps the real question isn't, how much time do I have left? But rather, how awake am I to the time I already have? Because in truth, we don't need more time. We need more presence within the time we already have. Take one breath with me now. That's life. That's everything. Part 3. The real death. When awareness fades, death doesn't come when the body stops. It begins the moment awareness fades. I've sat beside people who were dying, bodies fragile, breath shallow, but their eyes still bright, still awake. And I've also seen people alive in every physical sense, walking, talking, achieving. Yet their spirit is numb, buried beneath noise and distraction. So tell me, which one is truly living? You see, there's a quiet kind of death that moves through our modern world every day. It doesn't wear black robes or carry a scythe. It looks like endless scrolling, half listening, moving from one task to another without ever really being here. It's the death of presence, the death of wonder, the death of connection. You don't need a coffin for that kind of death. Only a phone, a schedule, and a mind that never stops running. Sometimes I walk into a cafe and see 10 people sitting together, each lost in their glowing screens. Their faces lit by light, but their hearts dimmed by absence. They are together, yet utterly alone. And I think, perhaps the Buddha would look at that scene and whisper, "Pamada," heedlessness. To be heedless is to be asleep while life happens around you. To move through your days like a ghost, touching everything but feeling nothing. The Buddha once said, "Heedfulness is the path to the deathless. Heedlessness is the path to death." The heedful do not die. The heedless are as if already dead. He wasn't speaking in poetry. He was describing a state of being. The difference between one who lives awake and one who drifts through life unaware. Think about it. How many times today have you done something without knowing you were doing it? You ate without tasting. You drove without noticing the road. You listened without hearing. You spoke without feeling your own words. Each of those moments, small, invisible, is a tiny death. Because to live without awareness is to miss your own existence. A neuroscientist once said that our brains can only process a fraction of what's actually happening around us. The rest we filter out, lost in habit and repetition. That's why mindfulness isn't just a spiritual practice. It's a way of resurrecting your life from the fog of routine. Every mindful breath is a return from the dead. I remember once visiting a monastery in Northern California. An elderly monk was sweeping the courtyard, slow, rhythmic, graceful. I asked him why he seemed so peaceful doing something so ordinary. He smiled and said, "When I sweep, I only sweep. If I die tomorrow, at least today, I was truly here." That sentence struck me deeply. If I die tomorrow, at least today I was truly here. What would it mean for you to live like that? To walk through your day as if it were sacred. Not because it's grand, but because it's fleeting. We keep thinking death is waiting somewhere in the future, like a date marked on a calendar. But death is more subtle than that. It creeps into every moment when you stop noticing your own life. It begins when gratitude fades, when curiosity dries up, when compassion becomes an afterthought. Every time you rush past the sound of rain, the smile of a stranger, the warmth of a loved one's hand, something inside you quietly dies. And yet the good news is, awakening is just as immediate. You don't need a ritual, or a retreat, or a perfect setting. You only need to open your eyes again, to take one breath and know that you are breathing, to feel the pulse of life moving through your fingers. That's resurrection, not in the religious sense, but in the human one. You were dead in distraction. Now you're alive in awareness. Sometimes, the dying person in a hospital bed is more alive than the healthy one rushing to work. Because one is fully awake to each breath, and the other has forgotten their breathing at all. So, my friend, don't wait for the body to weaken before you wake up. Don't wait for a diagnosis, a loss, or an ending to remind you that life is here. You can be reborn this very second, not through faith, but through attention. The moment you notice the wind on your face, the texture of silence between words, the fragile beauty of this instant, death loosens its grip, and you return to life again. Part 4. The 4 illusions that steal your life. There are 4 illusions that quietly steal your life. They don't come with warning signs. They arrive disguised as strength, success, comfort, or safety. And by the time you notice them, years have already passed. Let's talk about them, slowly, one by one. First illusion. Anger feels powerful, but it only imprisons you. When anger rises, it feels like fire, alive, righteous, full of energy. In that moment, you believe you're standing your ground, defending your truth. But underneath, anger is a thief. It robs your peace first, then your clarity, and finally your freedom. It convinces you that hurting back will make the pain go away. But all it really does is build a cage around your own heart. I once met a man who had not spoken to his brother for 20 years. They had argued over money, something small, really, and pride built a wall between them. When his brother died unexpectedly, the man said to me, "I thought I was punishing him, but all this time I was the one serving the sentence." Anger feels strong, but it's actually fragile. It breaks the moment love enters. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the courage to walk free from the prison you built yourself. Second illusion, comparison looks like growth, but it breeds emptiness. In our culture, we're taught to measure everything: income, success, beauty, even happiness. We scroll through the highlight reels of other people's lives and quietly feel smaller. We tell ourselves, I should be further along, I should be more. But comparison is a shadow game. No matter how far you climb, the mountain of enough keeps moving. You get the promotion, and suddenly someone else has more. You fix one part of yourself, and now another looks imperfect. It never ends. The Buddha called this tanha. Craving, the vine that keeps growing no matter how much you feed it. The more you chase, the emptier you feel. Because comparison steals the joy of your own path. When you're looking sideways, you stop seeing the blessings in front of you. Try this. Next time envy arises, pause and whisper, "May they be happy." That simple wish transforms poison into peace. When others succeed, it doesn't mean you failed. It only means that joy is possible. Third illusion. Scrolling feels connected, but it isolates your soul. We live in a world where attention is the new currency. Every ping, every notification, every like, it pulls a thread from your awareness. You tell yourself you're just checking for a minute, but suddenly an hour is gone and you can't remember a single thing you saw. It's like eating clouds, full but unsatisfied. Scientists say the average person touches their phone over 2,000 times a day. Think about that. 2,000 chances to leave the present moment. And every time you do, life keeps happening without you. A friend once told me, I scroll through people's vacations while my own coffee goes cold. That's modern suffering, being everywhere except where you are. The Buddha taught Indriya Sambhara, guarding the sense doors. It means being mindful of what enters your eyes, ears, and mind. You don't need to throw your phone away. Just ask, after an hour online, do I feel more peaceful or more restless? That question alone is awareness. And awareness is how the soul finds its way home. Fourth illusion. Love unspoken feels safe, but it dies unheard. This might be the saddest illusion of all. We think there will always be time to say I love you. We wait for the perfect moment, the right words, the right day. But love that isn't expressed begins to wither. I once counseled a woman who lost her husband suddenly. She told me, through tears, I thought he knew, but now I wish I had said it more. I held her hand and said he probably did know, but saying it would have freed you. Love needs to be spoken, not because others forget, but because we do. Every day we carry unspoken gratitude, unsent apologies, unfinished kindness. And those are the ghosts that follow us when it's too late. The Buddha said, as a mother protects her only child with her life, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all beings. That kind of love doesn't wait. It doesn't hesitate. It flows, like breath, like light, like the morning sun that never asks permission to rise. My friend, these four illusions, anger, comparison, distraction, and silence, are not enemies. They're teachers. Each one shows us where we are still asleep. Anger teaches us to soften. Comparison teaches us to appreciate. Distraction teaches us to return. Silence teaches us to speak love while we can. Because life doesn't ask for perfection. It only asks that we show up, awake, aware, and willing to be here, in this very moment, before it passes. Part 5. The Paradox of Awakening. Not escaping life, but meeting it fully. Many people think awakening means leaving life behind. They imagine monks disappearing into forests, seekers sitting on mountaintops, or souls renouncing the world to find peace. But that's only half the story. Awakening isn't about escaping life. It's about finally meeting it, completely, fearlessly, with eyes and heart wide open. When the Buddha left his palace, he wasn't running away from life. He was running toward truth. He saw clearly that comfort without understanding still leads to suffering. And so he turned inward, not to withdraw from the world, but to see it more deeply. Most of us today aren't sitting under a Bodhi tree. We're sitting in traffic, standing in grocery lines, answering emails. But the same truth still whispers beneath the noise. Peace doesn't come from distance, it comes from presence. The more fully you meet this moment, this breath, this sound, this human experience, the closer you are to awakening. You see, we've been taught to chase happiness like a finish line. Work hard, achieve, acquire, retire, and then you'll rest. But awakening reverses that logic. It says, rest first. Be aware first. Let calmness guide your steps, not exhaustion. When you stop running from discomfort, when you allow things to be exactly as they are, something profound happens. You realize that peace was never somewhere else. It was hiding beneath the noise you kept trying to escape. I once met a businessman in New York who had spent 40 years chasing success. He told me, I built everything I dreamed of, but I don't remember ever really living. He said he was always one deal away, one goal away, one promotion away from being happy. And then one day he retired, and the silence felt unbearable. Because in all those years he'd mastered productivity, but not presence. I said to him, you don't need to throw your life away. You just need to start showing up for it. That's awakening. Not abandoning your life, but awakening within it. The Buddha called this right view, samadhi. It means seeing life clearly, not through the fog of desire, fear, or resistance. Seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be. It's the first step of the Eightfold Path, the foundation for everything else. Because how you see determines how you live. When your view is distorted, your world is distorted. When your view is clear, even pain becomes teacher, even loss becomes doorway. Right view isn't blind faith. It's simple honesty and openness to reality as it is. To look at your own heart and ask, what's really here? The Buddha also spoke of the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana. He called them the direct path to freedom. That sounds lofty, but in daily life it's very simple. Be aware of your body, how it moves, how it breathes, how it rests. Be aware of your feelings, joy, sorrow, irritation, gratitude, without judging them. Be aware of your mind, distracted, focused, loving, fearful, and simply notice. And finally, be aware of the laws of nature, how everything changes, arises, and fades. You don't need to be a monk to practice this. You just need to be alive and willing to pay attention. There's a saying I love: before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The actions don't change, your awareness does. You still work, love, laugh, cook, worry, forgive. But now you do it awake. You feel the texture of the moment, not rushing to the next. You listen before reacting. You breathe before speaking. You sense the sacred hidden in the ordinary. That's what awakening really means: seeing clearly, feeling deeply, acting kindly. Once a student asked a Zen master, "What do you do when you're enlightened?" The master replied, "When hungry, I eat. When tired, I sleep." The student laughed, "But everyone does that." The master smiled, "No, they don't. When they eat, their minds are already somewhere else. We're always half here, planning, remembering, regretting." Awakening is simply returning to the wholeness of this moment, where life is actually happening. So my friend, don't think awakening belongs to monks or mystics. It belongs to anyone who chooses to live with awareness. When you wash a dish with mindfulness, it's prayer. When you listen deeply to another human being, it's meditation. When you walk slowly under the evening sky and feel gratitude simply for being, that is awakening. You don't need to leave your world. You just need to come home to it. To meet each moment as it is. Nothing to chase, nothing to fix, nothing to escape. Just this breath. Just this life. Just this sacred now. Part 6. The 3 doors to awakening. Today, not someday. There are 3 doors to awakening. They are not hidden in temples or scriptures. They are right here, in your morning, in your breath, in your heart. You walk past them every day, often without noticing. But if you pause, if you listen closely, you can still hear them calling, softly, patiently, asking to be opened. The first is the morning door. Ask the last day question. Every dawn is a rehearsal for the last day of your life. When you open your eyes, ask yourself gently, if today were my last day, how would I live? Not to frighten yourself, but to awaken sincerity. This question doesn't take anything away from life. It gives it meaning. It reminds you that each sunrise is a gift, not a guarantee. I once met an old friend who had survived a heart attack. He said, "Ever since that day, I wake up grateful, not because I lived, but because I noticed that I'm alive." When you ask the last day question, you stop postponing what matters. You call your mother. You take that walk. You forgive. You say thank you. You look at the sky longer. The morning door opens when you remember that time is precious, and that the present moment is already enough. The second is the breath door. Pause before reaction. This is the simplest door, but also the hardest to keep open. One conscious breath can change everything. Before you speak in anger, before you rush into fear, before you make a choice you'll regret, pause. Just one breath. Feel the air entering your nose, expanding your lungs, leaving your body. In that tiny space between the inhale and the exhale, something miraculous happens. The world slows down, the noise softens, And in that silence, wisdom slips in quietly. A neuroscientist once told me that a single mindful breath can shift your brain from reaction to reflection, from fight to peace. The Buddha taught this in the Anapanasati Sutta. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. So simple, so profound. You don't have to control the breath, just witness it. Because every breath is a teacher reminding you that control is an illusion and awareness is freedom. When you pause, you remember that you have a choice, not just to react, but to respond with clarity and compassion. The breath door opens when you trust the space between impulse and action. That space is where peace begins. The third is the heart door. Speak love before silence. This door leads straight to the soul. We all carry words inside us that we never say. I love you, I forgive you, I forgive you, I'm proud of you, I miss you. We wait for the perfect moment, the perfect tone, the perfect time. But life rarely waits for perfection. Sometimes the chance passes quietly and never returns. A woman once told me that her father used to end every phone call with, "Talk to you later." But one day, there was no later. Now she says those words out loud to his photograph. Every morning. Love, when unspoken, doesn't disappear. It lingers, like an unfinished song. The heart door opens when you let love flow freely, without calculation or fear. When you tell someone how much they mean to you, not because they might not be here tomorrow, but because you might forget today. And love, when spoken sincerely, heals both the giver and the receiver. The echo of one honest "I love you" can soften a lifetime of silence. So these are the three doors, my friend. The morning door, to live consciously. The breath door, to act wisely. The heart door, to love fully. You don't need to open all three at once. Even one will change the way light enters your life. When you open the morning door, you remember what truly matters. When you open the breath door, you remember to be here. When you open the heart door, you remember who you really are. And maybe that's what awakening really is. Not a grand revelation, not a distant goal, but a gentle turning of the handle on the door that's been waiting all along. You open it, you step through, and suddenly, life greets you again. Alive, present, and beautifully, astonishingly real. Part 7. The Final Paradox. When letting go becomes life itself. The more you hold on, the more you lose. The more you let go, the more alive you become. That's the last paradox of awakening. Freedom doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. It comes from loosening the grip you didn't know you were holding. All your life, you've been told to collect memories, titles, possessions, even opinions. But have you noticed how heavy they become? How the things you once owned begin to own you? There's a quiet exhaustion that grows from carrying too much. Sometimes the real miracle is not in gaining, but in releasing. Letting go doesn't mean losing love. It means allowing love to breathe. It means trusting that what is truly yours will never leave. You don't have to force life to stay. You just have to stop resisting its flow. The Buddha called this wisdom anicca, impermanence. Everything arises, everything fades. When we cling, we suffer. When we let go, we return to peace. Like a bird resting on a branch, we are meant to hold gently, not clutch. Can you remember the last time you truly let go of something? A grudge, an expectation, a plan that didn't unfold the way you hoped. Didn't it feel like breathing again after being underwater? That's awakening. Not a lightning strike, not a sudden miracle. Just the soft relief of releasing what you no longer need. There's another truth. You cannot receive anything with closed hands. Life gives to those who make space for it. When you release control, you make room for grace. When you stop trying to fix everything, you discover that not everything was broken. When you let go of who you think you should be, you meet who you really are. That's anatta, not self. It's not erasing yourself. It's realizing that you were never a fixed thing to begin with. You are movement. You are change. You are this breath, this awareness, this infinite moment unfolding. A student once asked a Zen master, "What is enlightenment?" The master smiled and said, "When hungry, eat. When tired, sleep." The student frowned, "But everyone does that." The master replied, "No, they don't. When they eat, they are already planning. When they sleep, they are already dreaming." Do you see the beauty in that? Awakening is not becoming something divine. It's becoming fully human. It's learning to taste a single sip of tea as if it were eternity. It's learning to walk slowly because you no longer need to arrive. My friend, if you've come this far, thank you. You've listened deeply. You've reflected on what matters. You've allowed your heart to be touched. And that's already practice. Maybe you've realized something simple today. That life isn't waiting. It's here. That death isn't just an ending. It's a reminder to live now. And that awakening isn't found in temples. It's found in your breath. Take one conscious breath with me. Feel the air come in, feel it leave. That's life. Don't miss it. As we close, I want to thank you, truly. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for your presence, your openness, your curiosity. If this reflection touched you, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Tell me, which door will you open first? The morning door, the breath door, or the heart door? Your story might awaken someone else's. If you'd like to continue this journey together, please subscribe to Son.Mindfulness. Your presence keeps this space alive. May you be healthy, may you be peaceful. May your days be filled with gentle joy, steady courage, and quiet gratitude. And may every breath remind you, you are still here, alive, awake, and wonderfully free. With deep gratitude, always.